She had built an empire from nothing. A CEO, a visionary, a woman who designed devices that saved lives in operating rooms across the country. But tonight, on a plane that wouldn't take off, dressed in a worn sweatshirt and sneakers, she was just another passenger being told to move. The seat was hers, the boarding pass proved it. But the man already sitting there smiled, confident, untouchable, while the flight attendant glanced at her tired eyes and made a choice. She folded the boarding pass in half, then in half again, swallowing the humiliation the way she'd been taught her whole life. But this time, trapped on a sealed aircraft with nowhere to run, something inside her refused to stay quiet. What happened next didn't just expose one man's entitlement. It shattered an entire system built on who gets believed and who gets erased. Subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from, because this story will make you question every seat you've ever taken for granted. Amara Lewis stepped out of the glass tower at 4:30, her heels clicking against the marble lobby floor. The meeting had gone longer than expected. 3 hours of explaining safety protocols to men who kept glancing at her assistant, assuming he was the CEO. She was tired. The conference room had been cold. Her jacket hung perfectly over her shoulders, tailored and expensive, but it had not protected her from the subtle questions. The ones that started with, "Are you sure?" and "Have you considered?" She had considered everything. That was her job. Amara slid into the back of the car and exhaled. The driver nodded at her in the rearview mirror. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through emails, half reading, her mind already elsewhere. "Airport, ma'am?" he asked. "Yes, thank you." She changed clothes in the back seat behind the tinted windows. The blazer came off. She folded it carefully and reached for the worn Columbia sweatshirt in her bag. Soft jeans replaced the tailored slacks. White sneakers instead of heels. Amara felt her shoulders drop. She did not want to be seen tonight. She wanted to be invisible. She wanted to sit in her seat and stare out the window and think about nothing. Her phone buzzed. A text from her assistant. They loved the pitch. Contract pending. She smiled. Her chest tightened. They had loved it once they believed it. The car pulled up to the departures terminal. Amara thanked the driver and stepped onto the crowded sidewalk. People rushed past her, dragging suitcases, shouting into phones. The terminal lights were too bright. She adjusted her bag on her shoulder and walked toward the sliding doors. Amara felt small. No one looked at her twice. No one recognized her name or her company or the devices that would save lives in operating rooms across the country. She was just another traveler in sneakers and a hoodie. She told herself that was what she wanted. The doors slid open. The noise of the terminal swallowed her whole. Amara moved through the crowd, her eyes scanning for the check-in kiosks. Something shifted in her expression. She straightened her back. She lifted her chin. She had earned her seat on that plane. She would get home. She would rest. Tomorrow she would do it all again. The check-in line snaked through the roped lanes. Amara stood behind a white man in a business suit, his rolling bag bumping against her shin. He did not notice. The agent at the counter looked past her. "Next, please. Sir, right this way." The man behind Amara stepped forward. She stayed where she was. "Excuse me," Amara said. Her voice was quiet. "I believe I'm next." The agent blinked. "Oh, sorry. Didn't see you there." Amara handed over her ID and confirmation number. The agent typed slowly, frowning at the screen. Her fingers paused. "Economy check-in is at the other counter," the agent said. "I'm in first class," Amara said. The agent's eyes flicked to Amara's sweatshirt, her sneakers. "Let me just verify that." Amara waited. Her jaw tightened. She had done this 1,000 times. She knew what came next. "Oh, yes, here it is. Sorry about that. No eye contact, no smile. Amara took her boarding pass and moved toward security. The line was long. A TSA officer waved people forward, dividing them into lanes. He pointed at Amara. Regular screening, ma'am. That line. I have pre-check, Amara said. He looked at her boarding pass. His mouth flattened. Right. Go ahead. She walked through the pre-check lane. A businessman in front of her left his laptop in his bag and sailed through. Amara did the same. The scanner beeped. Ma'am, step aside, please. She was patted down. Her bag was opened. Her laptop was swabbed. The officer said nothing, his face blank. When he finished, he nodded her through. Amara repacked her bag. Her hands were steady. Her breath was even. She was angry. No, she was resigned. The anger lived under the resignation, buried deep where it could not embarrass her. She walked toward her gate. A man in khakis fell into step beside her, glancing at her bag. You with the catering company? He asked. Amara stopped walking. She turned to face him. No, she said. He shrugged and walked away. She watched him go, his shoulders loose, his stride confident. Her chest tightened. Amara found a seat near her gate and sat down. She pulled out her phone and opened a novel she had been reading. The words blurred. She read the same sentence 3 times. Her name was called over the loudspeaker. Dr. Amara Lewis, please see the gate agent. She closed her phone. Something shifted in her stomach. She stood and approached the counter. Jamal Brooks looked up from his screen as Dr. Lewis approached. He recognized the name immediately. It had been in the morning memo. High-priority passenger, med-tech CEO, ongoing partnership discussions. He glanced at her boarding pass and frowned. Middle seat, economy. That was wrong. Dr. Lewis, he said. Thank you for coming over. Is there a problem? She asked. Her voice was calm. Her eyes were tired. No problem. I just noticed your seat assignment. He typed quickly, pulling up the reservation. Looks like you got bumped to a middle seat. That shouldn't have happened. It's fine, she said. Jamal shook his head. It's not fine. Let me fix it. He clicked through screens. First class had availability. He processed the upgrade without hesitation. The printer hummed. A new boarding pass slid out. There you go, he said. He handed it to her. First class, window seat. You'll board in Group 1. Dr. Lewis looked at the pass. Something shifted in her expression. Relief, maybe, or surprise. Thank you, she said. Enjoy your flight, Dr. Lewis. She smiled. It was small but genuine. Jamal watched her walk back to her seat, her shoulders a little less tense. He felt good. He had done something right. His supervisor appeared beside him, scanning the departure list. Everything on schedule? Yes, ma'am. Just processed an upgrade for a VIP passenger. Good. Keep things smooth. Jamal nodded. He printed the final boarding list and clipped it to his tablet. Group 1 would board in 20 minutes. He glanced at Dr. Lewis again. She was reading something on her phone, her brow furrowed. She looked small in the crowded gate area. He wondered how many times she had been bumped, how many times no one had noticed. Jamal called the first boarding group. Passengers lined up, jostling for position. He scanned passes, smiling at each person, wishing them a good flight. Dr. Lewis was third in line. She handed him her pass without a word. He scanned it. Have a great flight, Dr. Lewis, he said. She nodded. Thank you. He watched her disappear down the jet bridge. His chest felt tight. He hoped the flight would be kind to her. He called the next group. Amara stepped into the first-class cabin. The air was cool. The seats were wide and leather, each one a small kingdom of space. She found her row. 2A. Window seat. A man was already sitting there. He wore a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. His leather bag sat under the seat in front of him. He was scrolling through his phone, his legs stretched out. Amara stopped in the aisle. Her breath caught. "Excuse me," she said. "I think you're in my seat." The man looked up. His eyes traveled over her sweatshirt, her sneakers. He smiled. "I don't think so," he said. His voice was light, amused. "This is 2A, Amara said. She held up her boarding pass. He leaned forward and squinted at it. "Huh, that's weird. I've got 2A too." He pulled out his own pass and showed it to her. The seat number was slightly different. 2B. "You must have misread it," he said. He settled back into the seat. Amara felt heat rise in her chest. "I didn't misread it?" A flight attendant appeared. Young, blonde, her smile practiced and bright. "Is everything okay?" the attendant asked. "She thinks this is her seat," the man said. He gestured at Amara, his tone patient. The attendant glanced at Amara's pass. She looked at the man's pass. Her smile tightened. "Sir, you're actually in 2B, which is the aisle seat. This passenger has 2A. The man frowned. "Are you sure? I always book window seats." The attendant hesitated. Her eyes flicked between them. Amara saw the calculation. She felt it in her bones. "You know what?" the attendant said. Her voice was bright. "Let's just get everyone settled. Ma'am, why don't you take 3C? It's a perfectly good seat." Amara's throat closed. "But this is my seat." "I understand. But we're running behind, and it's easier if we just—" "I upgraded her myself," a voice said from behind. Jamal stood at the cabin door, his tablet in hand. "Dr. Lewis is in 2A. The attendant's smile faltered. "Oh, I see." "Well, it's fine," Amara said. Her voice was flat. "I'll move." "Dr. Lewis," Jamal started. "It's fine." She walked past him to 3C. The seat was smaller, a middle seat. She sat down and buckled her seatbelt. Her hands shook. The man in 2A was already scrolling through his phone again. The attendant moved down the aisle, her face relieved. Jamal stood frozen, his mouth open. Amara folded her boarding pass in half, then in half again. She pressed the creases hard. The cabin doors closed, the lights dimmed. The plane began to taxi. Amara felt numb. Her chest tightened. Her eyes burned. The plane lurched to a stop. The seatbelt sign stayed lit. The engines hummed but did not roar. Amara stared at the folded boarding pass in her lap. She felt humiliated. No. She felt invisible. She felt erased. She thought about standing up. She thought about walking back to the flight attendant and showing her the pass and demanding her seat. She thought about the other passengers watching. She thought about the words they would use. Difficult, aggressive, entitled. She had heard them before. Amara pressed her head against the seat in front of her. She closed her eyes. Her jaw ached from clenching. The man in 2A laughed. His voice carried across the cabin. "Can you believe that?" he said to the passenger beside him. "People trying to game the system these days." Amara's eyes opened. "I know, right?" the other passenger said. "They see an empty seat and just sit down." "Exactly. Like, just because you want first class doesn't mean you paid for it." Amara's hands curled into fists. She felt her nails bite into her palms. The flight attendant passed by. She did not look at Amara. Someone coughed. A baby cried 3 rows back. The engines hummed their endless, waiting song. Amara felt trapped. The plane was sealed. The doors were locked. She could not leave. She could not escape the stares or the whispers or the man in her seat talking about people who did not belong. Her throat tightened. She thought about her parents. Her father in his pressed uniform, his back straight. Her mother in her nurse's scrubs, her voice steady. They had taught her to work twice as hard, to be twice as good, to never give anyone a reason to doubt her. She had done everything right. She was still sitting in the wrong seat. The plane shuddered. A mechanical alert sounded from the cockpit, faint but sharp. The passengers murmured. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Folks, this is Captain Ortega. We've got a minor mechanical issue we need to address before takeoff. We're safe, but we'll be sitting here on the taxiway for a bit. Thanks for your patience." The cabin lights flickered. Phones appeared in hands, screens glowing in the dim light. Amara's breath caught. She felt the weight of every eye that had dismissed her today, every hand that had waved her aside. She unfolded the boarding pass. She smoothed the creases. The paper was thin. The ink was smudged from her fingers. It said, 2A. She would not forget that. Elena Rossi stood in the galley, her hands gripping the counter. The mechanical delay stretched into 15 minutes, then 20. Passengers shifted in their seats. The overhead bins creaked. Her supervisor appeared beside her. His voice was low. "What happened with the seat situation?" he asked. Elena's stomach dropped. There was a mix-up at boarding. 2 passengers had the same seat assignment. "And?" I asked one of them to move. "Which one?" Elena hesitated. "The woman. She had the upgrade." Her supervisor frowned. "The man in 2A is a platinum frequent flyer. You know we don't upset those passengers." "I know. Did you verify the boarding passes?" Elena's hands tightened on the counter. I glanced at them. They both looked legitimate. Glanced? It was crowded. We were behind schedule. Her supervisor's jaw tightened. "Elena, you can't just ask people to move without checking. If that woman complains, it's on you." Elena felt cold. She didn't complain. She moved. "Good. Keep it that way." He walked toward the cockpit. Elena stood frozen, her heart pounding. She thought about the woman's face, the way she had folded the boarding pass, the way her hands had shaken. Elena's breath caught. She had not checked. She had not verified. She had looked at the man's confident smile and the woman's tired eyes and made a choice. The wrong choice. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from her roommate. "Rent is due Friday. You good?" Elena closed her eyes. She needed this job. She needed the paycheck. She needed to not make waves. The intercom crackled. The captain's voice filled the cabin again. "Folks, we're still working through the mechanical issue. Shouldn't be much longer. Thanks for hanging in there." Elena moved through the cabin, offering water, checking seat belts. She avoided looking at 3C. Her tablet buzzed. A message from the gate. Discrepancy flagged in seat assignment. Need verification. Elena's chest tightened. She glanced toward the door. Jamal was walking down. The jet bridge, his face set. Something shifted in her stomach. She was in trouble. Jamal Brooks stepped back onto the plane, his tablet glowing in his hand. The system had flagged the seat assignment at 2A. The computer did not lie. Dr. Amara Lewis was supposed to be in that seat. Elena met him at the door. Her voice was quiet. "What's wrong?" "I need to verify something," Jamal said. He pulled up the seat map. The screen showed 2 names overlapping. One was highlighted in red. "Trevor Haynes is in 2A, Jamal said, "but Dr. Lewis was assigned that seat after I processed her upgrade." Elena's face went pale. "Are you sure?" "The system is sure." Jamal scrolled through the notes. A VIP flag appeared next to Dr. Lewis's name. He tapped it. The memo loaded. High priority passenger. CEO of MedTech Innovations. Ongoing partnership discussions. Runway, surgical safety devices. Handle with care. Jamal's breath caught. He looked down the aisle. Dr. Lewis sat in 3C, her head bowed, her hands folded in her lap. "You put her in the wrong seat," he said. Elena's voice shook. "I didn't know. He was already sitting there. I thought—" "You thought what?" "I thought she made a mistake." Jamal's jaw tightened. He had seen this before. The assumptions, the quick judgments, the way people saw what they expected to see. "She didn't make a mistake," he said. "We did." Elena's hands trembled. "What do I do?" "You fix it." "How?" Jamal stared at the screen. The VIP flag blinked. The partnership discussions. The devices that would save lives. He thought about Dr. Lewis's tired eyes. The way she had said thank you. The way she had walked away without fighting. "You tell the captain," Jamal said, "and you tell her the truth." Elena's voice was barely a whisper. "What if she complains?" "What if she doesn't?" Jamal said. "What if she just goes home and remembers this flight for the rest of her life?" Elena looked down the aisle. Dr. Lewis had not moved. Her head was still bowed. Something shifted in Elena's chest. "I'll talk to the captain," she said. Jamal nodded. He glanced at Dr. Lewis one more time. She was staring out the window now, her reflection ghostly in the dark glass. He hoped it was not too late. The delay stretched past 30 minutes. The cabin lights dimmed further. Passengers grumbled, checking their phones, shifting in their seats. Amara stared out the window. The tarmac was dark. The runway lights blinked in endless rows. A voice spoke beside her. "Are you all right?" Amara turned. An older woman sat in the row behind her, leaning forward. Her hair was silver. Her eyes were kind. "I'm fine," Amara said. "I saw what happened during boarding," the woman said. Her voice was soft. "That wasn't right." Amara's throat tightened. She looked away. "It's fine." "Is it?" Amara did not answer. The woman leaned closer. "My name is Ruth. I used to be a school principal. I've seen this kind of thing before." "It's not a big deal," Amara said. "It is to me." Amara felt something crack in her chest. She turned to face Ruth. Her eyes burned. "What was I supposed to do?" Amara asked. Her voice was quiet. "Make a scene? Demand my seat in front of everyone?" Ruth's expression was steady. "You were supposed to be treated fairly." "That's not how it works." "It should be." Amara shook her head. She felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. She blinked them back. "I'm tired," she said. "I'm so tired of fighting." Ruth reached through the gap between the seats. She touched Amara's shoulder. "I'm sorry." Amara's breath caught. She nodded. "I should have said something," Ruth said. "At the time, I saw the whole thing. I should have spoken up." "It's not your responsibility." "Maybe it is." The plane shuddered. The engines cycled again, louder this time. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Folks, we've got clearance to taxi. We'll be in the air shortly. Thanks for your patience." The cabin stirred. Passengers sat up. Phones disappeared into pockets. Amara looked at Ruth. Something shifted in her chest. "Thank you," Amara said. Ruth nodded. "If they ask you about it, tell the truth. Don't let them smooth this over." "They won't ask." "They might." Amara turned back to the window. The plane began to move, slow and heavy. She thought about the boarding pass folded in her pocket. She thought about Ruth's words. Tell the truth. Amara felt something harden inside her. A resolve. A refusal. She would not let this go. Not this time. Elena stood in the galley with her supervisor and the captain. Her heart pounded. The mechanical issue had been resolved, but the seat issue had not. "The system shows Dr. Lewis was assigned 2A, the captain said. He looked at his tablet. She was upgraded at the gate. I didn't know that, Elena said. Her voice was thin. You should have verified, her supervisor said. His voice was sharp. Before asking anyone to move. Elena's hands shook. I made a judgment call. We were behind schedule. And now we have a problem, the captain said. Elena felt sick. What kind of problem? The captain scrolled through the memo. Dr. Lewis is a VIP. Her company is in active negotiations with the airline. This could become a complaint. She didn't complain, Elena said. She moved without arguing. That doesn't mean she won't complain later, her supervisor said, especially if she realizes who we prioritized. Elena's chest tightened. What do you want me to do? Her supervisor's voice dropped. Nothing. Don't draw more attention to it. If she brings it up, apologize for the confusion. Keep it vague. But she was right, Elena said. She had the correct seat. Elena. Her supervisor's eyes were hard. Do you want to keep this job? The question hung in the air. Elena felt cold. Yes, she whispered. Then don't make this worse. Mr. Haynes is a platinum member. He flies with us twice a week. We can't afford to upset him either. The captain cleared his throat. I'll handle it if it escalates. For now, we take off. We get everyone to their destination. Elena nodded. Her throat was tight. Her stomach churned. She thought about rent, student loans, the bills that never stopped coming. She thought about job applications and interviews, and the 3 months it had taken to get this position. She needed this job. But she also needed to look at herself in the mirror. The captain walked back to the cockpit. Her supervisor followed. Elena stood alone in the galley. She looked down the aisle. Dr. Lewis sat in 3C, her head against the window. Elena felt shame. It sat in her chest like a stone, heavy and cold. She had made a choice. She had looked at 2 people and decided who to believe. She had not checked the facts. She had checked their clothes, their skin, their confidence. She had chosen wrong. Elena's breath caught. She picked up a tray of water cups and walked into the cabin. She offered them to passengers, her smile automatic. When she reached row 3, she paused. Dr. Lewis did not look up. Water? Elena asked. No, thank you. Elena's voice dropped. I'm sorry about the confusion earlier. Dr. Lewis turned. Her eyes were steady. It wasn't confusion. It was a decision. The words hit Elena like a slap. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Dr. Lewis turned back to the window. Elena walked away. Her hands trembled. The tray shook. Something shifted in her chest. A crack. A breaking. She had been complicit, and she did not know how to fix it. Amara heard Trevor's voice from first class. It carried through the cabin, loud and confident. I don't understand how these mix-ups happen, he said. You'd think they'd have a system. The passenger beside him made a non-committal sound. I mean, I've been flying with this airline for years, Trevor continued. Platinum status. They know me, but they let anyone walk on these days. Amara's jaw tightened. People try to upgrade themselves, Trevor said. They see an empty seat and just sit down, like it's a free-for-all. That's frustrating, the other passenger said. It is, especially when you pay for first class. You don't expect to have to defend your seat. Amara's hands curled around the armrests. Her knuckles went white. She felt Ruth shift in the seat behind her. Ruth's voice was quiet. Can you hear him? Yes, Amara said. He's talking about you. I know. Ruth's voice hardened. That's despicable. Amara closed her eyes. She felt the anger rising in her chest. It pushed against her ribs. It burned in her throat. She wanted to stand up. She wanted to walk to first class and tell Trevor exactly who she was. She wanted to show him the boarding pass, the upgrade confirmation, the VIP memo. But she did not move. She had been here before. She had stood in rooms where men talked over her, where they questioned her credentials, where they assumed she was the assistant, the intern, the diversity hire. She had learned to stay quiet, to prove herself through work, not words. But this felt different. This felt like erasure. Trevor laughed. The sound grated against Amara's nerves. "Next time I'm flying private," he said. "Can't deal with this circus." The other passenger chuckled. "I don't blame you." Amara opened her eyes. She stared at the seat in front of her. The fabric was worn. The tray table had scratches. She thought about her company, the devices she had designed, the lives they would save. She thought about the partnership with this airline, the safety equipment they wanted to install in every aircraft. She thought about walking away from the deal. Her breath caught. No, she would not let Trevor Haynes cost her that. She would not let him take anything else. Ruth leaned forward. "You don't have to stay quiet." Amara turned. Ruth's eyes were fierce. "What do you suggest I do?" Amara asked. "Tell someone. Tell the captain. Tell the truth. And be labeled difficult? Angry? Unreasonable?" Ruth's expression softened. "You're none of those things. That doesn't matter. That's how they'll see me." The plane began to taxi again, moving slowly towards the runway. The engines hummed louder. Amara felt trapped, not by the aircraft, by the expectations, by the calculations she had made her entire life. "Stay quiet. Be professional. Don't make waves." But the waves were already here. Trevor's voice floated back again. "Some people just don't understand how first class works." Amara's chest tightened. Something shifted inside her. A door opening. A choice forming. The silence was no longer enough. Elena approached row 3 with a water pitcher. Her hands were steady, but her heart was not. She had been thinking about Dr. Lewis's words for 10 minutes. It wasn't confusion. It was a decision. She stopped beside Amara's seat. "Can I get you anything?" Amara looked up. Her eyes were tired. "No, thank you." Elena's voice dropped. "I wanted to apologize. For earlier, it was a confusing situation." Amara's expression did not change. "No, it wasn't." Elena blinked. "I'm sorry?" "It wasn't confusing," Amara said. Her voice was calm, steady. "You looked at 2 boarding passes. You looked at 2 people. You made a decision about who to believe." Elena's throat closed. "I didn't mean—" "You didn't check the system. You didn't verify. You chose." The words landed like stones. Elena felt her face flush. "I was trying to keep things moving. By moving me." Elena's hands tightened on the pitcher. "I made a mistake." "You made a choice." The distinction hung between them. Elena felt something crack in her chest. She wanted to defend herself. She wanted to explain about the pressure, the schedule, the supervisor watching. But Dr. Lewis was right. She had chosen the easier story, the more comfortable story. The story where the confident white man was right and the quiet black woman was wrong. Elena's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm sorry." "Are you?" Amara asked. "Or are you sorry I noticed?" Elena's breath caught. She looked down at her shoes. Her eyes burned. "I don't know," she said. The honesty surprised her. Amara turned back to the window. "Thank you for your apology, but it doesn't change what happened." Elena nodded. She walked away, her legs shaking. She made it to the galley before the tears came. She pressed her palms against the counter. Her chest heaved. She had done this. She had participated in this. She had looked at a woman and decided she did not belong. And now she did not know how to undo it. Her supervisor appeared. "Everything all right?" Elena wiped her eyes. "Yes, fine." "Good. We're cleared for takeoff. Buckle in. Elena sat in the jump seat. She fastened her harness. The plane turned onto the runway. Through the galley curtain, she could see Dr. Lewis. Her head was bowed. Her hands were folded in her lap. Elena felt sick. The engines roared. The plane accelerated. The cabin tilted back. They were airborne. But Elena felt like she was falling. Jamal Brooks stood at the gate counter, staring at his screen. The flight had taken off, but the system alert remained. Unresolved. His supervisor appeared beside him. Did you clear that discrepancy? No, Jamal said. I documented it. Why? Because it matters. His supervisor frowned. The flight is gone. The passengers are in the air. What's done is done. But the record should show what actually happened, Jamal said. The record should show a smooth operation, his supervisor said. Her voice was sharp. Not a seat conflict that could turn into a complaint. Jamal's jaw tightened. Dr. Lewis was assigned 2A. The system confirms it. She should have been in that seat. And she moved without issue, so there's no problem. There is a problem. She was treated unfairly. His supervisor's eyes narrowed. Are you questioning how our flight attendants handle boarding? I'm saying the system shows a mistake. Then maybe the system is wrong. Jamal stared at her. His chest felt tight. He had been here before. The moments when truth became inconvenient, when facts became flexible. He thought about the memo, the VIP flag, the partnership discussions. He thought about all the other passengers who did not have VIP flags, who moved when told to move, who swallowed their humiliation in silence. The system isn't wrong, Jamal said. We are. His supervisor's voice dropped. Be careful, Jamal. You're temporary staff. You want to make this permanent, don't you? The question was a threat. Jamal heard it clearly. Yes, he said. Then don't create problems where there aren't any. Clear the alert. Mark it as resolved. She walked away. Jamal stood frozen, his finger hovering over the keyboard. He could delete the note. He could mark it resolved. He could protect himself. Or he could save the record. He thought about Dr. Lewis's face when she said, "Thank you." The gratitude for something so small. The upgrade that should have been automatic. Jamal opened a new file. He copied the seat assignment logs, the timestamps, the VIP memo, the upgrade confirmation. He saved everything to a secure folder. Then he sent a message to corporate compliance, not to his supervisor, not to the regional manager, to the people who were supposed to care about truth. Seat assignment discrepancy on Flight 447. Passenger Dr. Amara Lewis improperly moved from assigned first-class seat. Records attached. Please review. He hit send before he could change his mind. His hands shook. His heart pounded. He had just risked his job. But he had also done the right thing. He hoped it was enough. Captain Miguel Ortega stood in the first-class cabin, his uniform crisp, his expression neutral. The flight was level now. The seatbelt sign was off. He had been flying for 20 years. He had seen every kind of passenger conflict. But the message from compliance had flagged this one as urgent. Mr. Haynes, he said, I need to ask you about the seat assignment. Trevor looked up from his tablet. What about it? Can you tell me what happened during boarding? Trevor smiled. Some confusion with the passes. A woman thought she had my seat. Your attendant sorted it out. How did she sort it out? She asked the woman to move to another seat. It was fine. The captain nodded. He turned to Amara. Dr. Lewis, can you tell me your version? Amara felt every eye in first class turn toward her. Her chest tightened. Her voice was steady. I boarded with this pass, she said. She held it up. It says 2A. Mr. Haynes was already sitting there. The flight attendant asked me to move without checking the system. I was already seated, Trevor said. His voice was patient. I always book window seats. There must have been a last-minute change. There was, Amara said. I was upgraded at the gate. By Jamal Brooks. He processed it in the system. The captain looked at Trevor. May I see your boarding pass, sir? Trevor handed it over. The captain examined both passes. His jaw tightened. Mr. Haynes, your pass shows 2B. Dr. Lewis has 2A. Trevor frowned. That's not possible. I booked a window seat. The system shows Dr. Lewis in 2A, the captain said. You're in 2B. Then the system made an error. Or someone did. The words hung in the air. Trevor's face flushed. Are you suggesting I took her seat? I'm suggesting there was a mistake. She probably got a free upgrade and tried to take my seat. Amara's hands tightened. I didn't try to take anything. That was my assigned seat. You're saying I'm lying? I'm saying the passes speak for themselves. A voice spoke from behind. Ruth. Captain, if I may. The captain turned. Yes, ma'am? I saw what happened during boarding. I was standing in the aisle, waiting for my row. And what did you see? Ruth's voice was clear. Steady. Dr. Lewis showed her boarding pass to Mr. Haynes. He was already in the seat. She was polite. She pointed out the seat number. He dismissed her. The flight attendant came over and asked Dr. Lewis to move without checking the computer. The captain's expression tightened. Thank you, ma'am. Trevor's voice rose. That's not what happened. She's misremembering. I'm 70 years old, Ruth said. My memory is fine. The silence stretched. Passengers in nearby rows watched. Some held phones, screens glowing. Amara felt her heart pounding. She had not wanted this. She had not wanted to be a spectacle. But Ruth had spoken. The truth was out. The captain looked at both passes again. His voice was quiet. I need to review the gate records. Excuse me. He walked toward the cockpit. Trevor's face was red. Amara stared at her hands. Something shifted in the cabin. Attention. An awareness. Everyone was watching now. Ruth sat in her seat, her hands folded in her lap. Her heart was pounding. She had not spoken up in years, not really. Not when it mattered. She thought about the students she had failed. The black boys sent to the principal's office for behaviors white boys got away with. The girls with hijabs who were questioned about their families. The quiet erasures she had witnessed and done nothing about. She had always told herself it was complicated, that she did not have all the information, that it was not her place. But she had known. Deep down, she had known. The captain returned with a tablet. His face was serious. I've reviewed the records, he said. Dr. Lewis was upgraded to 2A at 5:15. The gate agent logged it in the system. The boarding pass was printed and scanned. Trevor's voice was tight. Then why does my pass show 2A? Your pass shows 2B, sir. I'm looking at it right now. I always book window seats, Trevor repeated. His voice was louder. I have platinum status. I don't make mistakes like this. No one is saying you made a mistake, the captain said. His voice was diplomatic, careful. But the system is clear. Dr. Lewis was assigned 2A. This is ridiculous, Trevor said. I've been flying with this airline for 8 years. You're going to believe some random passenger over me? Ruth felt her blood pressure rise. She's not a random passenger. She's a human being with a valid boarding pass. Trevor turned to look at her. Who asked you? Decency asked me, Ruth said. Her voice was sharp. Decades of educator's authority. You're sitting in her seat. The captain just confirmed it. And you're acting like she's the problem. I don't have to listen to this. Yes, you do, Ruth said. Because I'm not going to sit here and watch you bully someone who did nothing wrong. The cabin was silent. Passengers stared. Phones were raised. The captain's jaw tightened. He looked at Amara. Dr. Lewis, I apologize for this situation. I'm going to review the records one more time and make a final determination. Amara nodded. Her voice was quiet. Thank you. The captain walked back to the cockpit. Elena stood in the galley, her face pale. She had heard everything. Ruth turned to Amara. Her eyes were soft. "You shouldn't have to carry this alone." Amara felt something break in her chest. Tears pricked at her eyes. "Thank you. I should have said something sooner, at boarding. It's not your responsibility." "Yes, it is," Ruth said. "It's all of our responsibility." The plane hummed around them. The cabin lights flickered. Passengers shifted in their seats. Amara felt less alone. For the first time since boarding, she felt seen. Captain Ortega sat in the cockpit, the tablet glowing in his lap. He had pulled up the full passenger manifest, the notes, the memos, Dr. Amara Lewis, CEO, MedTech Innovations, high priority. His chest tightened. The airline was in active negotiations with her company. Safety devices, surgical equipment installations, a multi-million-dollar contract. And they had asked her to move from her assigned seat. He felt sick. His co-pilot glanced over. "Everything okay, Miguel?" "No," the captain said. "Everything is not okay." He read the VIP memo again. Handle with care. They had done the opposite, but that was not what bothered him most. What bothered him was that even without the VIP flag, even without the contract, even without the CEO title, Dr. Lewis should have been treated fairly. The fact that she was important made the airline care, but she should have mattered anyway. He thought about Trevor Haynes. Platinum status, frequent flyer, the kind of passenger they were trained to keep happy. He thought about the assumptions Elena had made, the quick decision to believe the confident man over the quiet woman. He had seen it before. He had participated in it before. The captain called Elena to the cockpit. She appeared moments later, her face anxious. "Tell me exactly what happened at boarding," he said. Elena's voice shook. "Mr. Haynes was already seated in 2A. Dr. Lewis approached with her boarding pass. I looked at both passes quickly. I asked her to take a different seat to avoid delay." "Did you check the computer?" "No, sir." "Why not?" Elena's eyes filled with tears. "I assumed Mr. Haynes was right. He's a regular. He was confident. She seemed unsure." The captain's jaw tightened. "Did you consider that she was unsure because she was being challenged unfairly?" Elena nodded. Her voice was a whisper. "I see that now." The captain pulled up the supervisor's notes, a suggestion to offer Dr. Lewis compensation, a voucher, a quiet resolution, no admission of wrongdoing, no accountability, just make it go away. His hands tightened on the tablet. "I'm going to fix this," he said. "How?" Elena asked. "By telling the truth." Elena's breath caught. "Sir, my supervisor said—" "I don't care what your supervisor said. Dr. Lewis was treated unfairly. That's not acceptable." "But Mr. Haynes is platinum. If he complains—" "Then he complains," the captain said. "But we don't protect discrimination to keep a frequent flyer happy." Elena felt her eyes burn. She nodded. The captain stood. He was done calculating, done weighing schedules against dignity. He walked back into the cabin. Elena followed the captain into the cabin, her heart pounding. He stopped at Amara's row. His voice was clear. "Dr. Lewis, may I speak with you?" Amara looked up. "Of course." "I've reviewed all the records. You were assigned to seat 2A. That is your seat. I apologize for the confusion and the way this was handled." Amara's expression did not change. "Thank you. I'd like to offer you compensation for the inconvenience, a voucher for a future flight, and we'll make sure this doesn't happen again." The cabin was quiet. Everyone was listening. Amara's voice was steady. "What exactly doesn't happen again?" The captain hesitated. "The seating confusion." Is that what we're calling it? Confusion? Elena's chest tightened. She saw where this was going. The captain cleared his throat. There was a mistake in the boarding process. A mistake, Amara said. Her voice was soft. Not an assumption. Not a bias. Dr. Lewis, I understand you're upset. I'm not upset, Amara said. I'm clear. You're offering me a voucher to accept a sanitized version of what happened. The captain's jaw tightened. We're trying to make this right. By making it quiet. The words landed hard. Elena felt them in her chest. Amara looked at the captain. Her eyes were steady. The problem is not the seat, Captain. The problem is the choice that was made. Your flight attendant looked at two people and decided who to believe. She didn't check the computer. She didn't verify the facts. She chose the comfortable story. Elena's breath caught. Amara was right. The captain's voice was careful. I understand your concern. Do you? Amara asked. Because your solution is a voucher and a promise, but promises don't change systems. They don't change assumptions. What would you like me to do? Amara was quiet for a long moment. Her hands were folded in her lap. Her expression was tired. I don't know, she said finally, but I know that accepting your offer would make me complicit in my own erasure. Dr. Lewis, I decline, Amara said. The voucher, the quiet resolution, all of it. The captain's face went pale. I see. He walked away. Elena stood frozen. She looked at Amara. Their eyes met. Amara's expression was not angry. It was not triumphant. It was sad. Elena felt something break inside her. She walked back to the galley. Her hands shook. She had offered the voucher earlier. She had tried to smooth things over. She had wanted Amara to accept and move on, to be a good passenger, a convenient passenger. But Amara had refused. And now Elena did not know what came next. She thought about her supervisor's warning, about keeping her job, about not making waves. She thought about Amara's face, the quiet dignity, the refusal to be erased. Elena felt torn, between survival and truth, between fear and conscience. The plane hummed around her. The cabin lights flickered. Everything felt fragile, like something was about to break. Elena stood in the galley, her hands gripping the counter. Her supervisor appeared beside her, his face tight. What happened out there? He asked. The captain offered her compensation. She declined. His jaw clenched. Why would she decline? Because she doesn't want a voucher. She wants acknowledgement. Of what? Elena's voice was quiet. Of what actually happened. Her supervisor leaned closer. His voice dropped. Elena, listen to me carefully. If this becomes a formal complaint, they're going to investigate. They're going to ask who made the boarding decision. I made it. Exactly. And they're going to ask why. They're going to look at the timeline, the passes, the witnesses. Elena felt cold. I know. Do you? Because if this blows up, you're the one holding the bag. Not me, not the captain. You. His words hit like a slap. Elena's hands trembled. I made a mistake, she said. We all make mistakes. But smart people don't let passengers turn mistakes into lawsuits. What are you saying? I'm saying keep things calm. Don't feed into this. Don't validate her complaints. Elena stared at him. She has valid complaints. Her supervisor's eyes narrowed. Are you questioning my judgment? I'm questioning mine. The silence stretched. Her supervisor's face hardened. You're on thin ice, Elena. You know that, right? You're still probationary. Your employment can be terminated for any reason. Elena's breath caught. Are you threatening me? I'm reminding you of reality. You need this job. Don't throw it away over misplaced guilt. He walked away. Elena stood frozen, her chest tight. She thought about rent, bills, student loans, the 3 months she had spent unemployed before landing this position. She thought about her mother, who cleaned houses to pay for Elena's college. Her father, who worked double shifts at the factory. She could not afford to lose this job. But she also could not afford to lose herself. Elena looked through the galley curtain. Dr. Lewis sat in 3C, her head bowed. Ruth watched her from the row behind, protective. Elena's hands shook. She had a choice: protect the system or protect the truth. She could not do both. The intercom crackled. The captain's voice filled the cabin. "Flight attendants, prepare for landing in 30 minutes. Elena buckled into the jump seat. Her stomach churned. She did not know which choice she would make. But she knew the moment was coming. Amara stood and walked to the lavatory. She needed space. She needed air. She needed to see her own face. The bathroom was tiny. The light was harsh. She locked the door and leaned against the sink. Her reflection stared back at her. Tired eyes, pressed lips, shoulders that wanted to collapse. She turned on the faucet. The water was cold. She splashed it on her face, letting it drip down her cheeks. Amara felt exhausted. Not from the flight. Not from the confrontation. From the years of carrying this weight. She thought about her parents. Her father's pressed uniform every morning. Her mother's scrubs laid out the night before. The way they had taught her to be excellent, to be undeniable. But excellence had not saved her tonight. She had been CEO of a growing company. She had negotiated deals worth millions. She had designed devices that would save lives. And she had still been asked to move. Amara looked at herself in the mirror. She saw every version of herself she had tried to be. The accommodating one. The professional one. The one who did not make scenes. She had swallowed so much. Tonight she had refused. Her chest tightened. She felt scared. Not of Trevor. Not of the airline. Of what came next. The video would spread. People would have opinions. Some would call her brave. Others would call her difficult. She would become a story. A symbol. A lesson. She did not want to be a lesson. She wanted to be a person. But maybe that was the problem. She was always going to be both. Amara dried her face with a rough paper towel. She stared at herself one more time. "You did the right thing," she whispered. She did not know if she believed it yet, but she knew she could not have done anything else. She unlocked the door and walked back to her seat. The cabin felt different now. Charged. Watching. Ruth smiled at her. Amara tried to smile back. She buckled her seatbelt. She folded her hands in her lap. She thought about the boarding pass in her pocket, the one that said 2A. She had been right. The system had confirmed it. The captain had acknowledged it. But she was still sitting in 3C. Amara's breath caught. Nothing had actually changed. Not yet. Jamal sat at the gate counter, staring at his computer. His shift was ending. The next agent was already arriving. His phone buzzed, a secure message from corporate compliance. "Thank you for the report. Under review." That was all. No timeline, no promises. Just acknowledgement. He logged out of his system and prepared to leave. His supervisor appeared beside him. "Jamal, before you go, I need you to revise the incident log." Jamal froze. "Revise it how?" "The seat assignment issue. Mark it as resolved. Customer satisfied." But she wasn't satisfied. She declined the compensation. His supervisor's voice was firm. "She moved to another seat without incident. That's resolution." "That's not what happened." "Jamal." His supervisor leaned closer. "You want a permanent position here, right? You've been doing good work. I'd hate to see you throw that away." Jamal's stomach twisted. He recognized the threat. He had heard it before, in different words, at different jobs. Stay quiet. Go along. Protect the system. The records show what happened, Jamal said. I'm not changing them. The records show your interpretation. There are other ways to read the situation. Like what? Like a passenger who misunderstood her upgrade and was accommodated with a different first-class seat. Jamal's jaw tightened. That's a lie. It's framing. It's covering up discrimination. His supervisor's eyes went cold. Be very careful about throwing around words like that. Jamal stood. His legs shook. His heart pounded. He thought about Dr. Lewis, about all the passengers who had come before her, the ones who had moved quietly, the ones whose stories were erased. He thought about the screenshots he had saved, the compliance report he had filed. I already sent the records to corporate compliance, Jamal said, with timestamps. I can't change them now. His supervisor's face went red. You did what? I documented the truth, before anyone could erase it. You went over my head. I went to the people responsible for ensuring we do the right thing. The silence stretched. His supervisor's hands curled into fists. Pack your things, he said. You're done for today. Am I fired? I don't know yet, but you're suspended pending review. Jamal nodded. He picked up his bag. His hands were steady, but his chest was tight. He had just lost his job. Maybe. Probably. But he had also kept the truth alive. He walked out of the terminal into the cold evening air. His phone buzzed. Another message. This is Ruth Kaplan. I was on Flight 447. I saw what happened. If you need a witness, I'm willing to speak. Here's my number. Jamal's breath caught. He stared at the message. He was not alone. The truth had witnesses. Ruth sat in her seat as the plane began its descent. The city lights spread below them, a carpet of gold and white. She thought about the flight, about Amara's quiet dignity, about Elena's frightened compliance, about Trevor's entitled rage. She thought about herself. She had spent 30 years as a school principal. She had seen injustice every day. She had intervened sometimes. Too often she had stayed quiet. She had told herself it was complicated, that she did not have all the facts, that it was not her place. But watching Amara tonight, she had seen every student she had failed, every moment she had chosen comfort over courage. Ruth was 70 years old. She did not have decades left to make things right. She had tonight. The flight attendant passed by. Ruth reached out and touched her arm. Excuse me, may I speak with you? Elena stopped. Her face was pale. Yes, ma'am? I'd like to speak to the captain, or make a statement about what I witnessed during boarding. Elena's eyes widened. Ma'am, I'm not asking permission, Ruth said. Her voice was gentle but firm. I'm telling you I have information, and I'm willing to share it. Why? Because I spent too many years watching things happen and doing nothing. Elena's breath caught. She looked towards the galley. Her supervisor was watching. I could lose my job, Elena whispered. I could lose my soul, Ruth said. Which is worse? Elena stared at her. Something shifted in her expression. A decision forming. I'll ask the captain, Elena said. Thank you. Elena walked away. Ruth folded her hands in her lap. Her heart pounded. She thought about her grandchildren, the world they were inheriting, the stories they would tell about her. She wanted them to know she had tried. At the end, when it mattered. The captain appeared beside her row. Mrs. Kaplan? I understand you have something to say. Ruth nodded. I do. But I'd like to say it where everyone can hear. The captain's jaw tightened. That's unusual. So is what happened tonight. He looked at her for a long moment. Ruth met his gaze steadily. All right, he said finally. He walked to the front of first class. He picked up the intercom handset. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Ortega. We'll be landing shortly. But before we do, one of our passengers has asked to make a brief statement. Mrs. Ruth Kaplan, would you like to speak?" The cabin went silent. Every head turned. Ruth stood. Her legs felt weak. Her voice did not. This was the moment, the choice, the stand. She looked at Amara. Amara's eyes were wide. Ruth cleared her throat. "Thank you, Captain," she said. "I won't take long." Captain Ortega stood at the front of the cabin, his hand on the intercom. He had been flying for 20 years. He had never done this before, but he had never seen this before either. Ruth's voice was clear, strong. It carried through the cabin. "My name is Ruth Kaplan. I'm a retired school principal. I witnessed the boarding incident tonight. I stayed quiet at the time. I'm not staying quiet anymore." Trevor shifted in his seat. His face was red. Ruth continued. "Dr. Amara Lewis boarded with a valid boarding pass for seat 2A. Mr. Haynes was already sitting there. When she showed her pass, he dismissed her. The flight attendant asked her to move without checking the computer system." Phones appeared. Screens glowed. People were recording. "Dr. Lewis did nothing wrong," Ruth said. "She was polite. She was patient. She showed her documentation, and she was asked to give up her seat anyway." Trevor stood. "This is ridiculous. I'm not listening to this." "Sit down, sir," the captain said. His voice was firm. "I will not. This is slander. She's lying." "I'm not lying," Ruth said. "And I'm not the only witness. Ask the gate agent. Ask the system. Ask anyone who was paying attention." The captain pulled out his tablet. He had Jamal's report, the timestamps, the screenshots. He had been trying to avoid this moment, to find a diplomatic solution, to keep everyone happy. But there was no diplomatic solution to discrimination. He looked at Trevor, at Amara, at Elena, who stood in the galley with tears on her face. "Mr. Haynes," the captain said, "I've reviewed all the records. Dr. Lewis was assigned to seat 2A. You were assigned to seat 2B. You are currently sitting in her seat." "I've been sitting here the entire flight," Trevor said. "You can't ask me to move now." "I can. And I am." Trevor's voice rose. "This is absurd. I have platinum status. I've flown with this airline for 8 years. And Dr. Lewis had a confirmed seat assignment, which she was denied. Because of a mistake. No, sir, because of an assumption." The words hung in the air. Trevor's face went purple. "Are you accusing me of racism?" "I'm stating facts," the captain said. "You were in the wrong seat. The flight attendant prioritized your comfort over Dr. Lewis's rights. That needs to be corrected." "It's too late. We're landing." "Then you'll move before we land." Trevor's voice was shaking. "I'm going to report this. I'm going to sue. I'm going to make sure you never fly again." "That's your right," the captain said. "But you're still moving." He turned to Amara. His voice was quieter, respectful. "Dr. Lewis, seat 2A is yours. If you'd like to move now, you can." Amara sat frozen. Every eye in the cabin was on her. Phones were recording. This was already viral. She felt her heart pounding, her hands shaking. Ruth's voice came from behind. "You don't have to." Amara turned. Ruth's eyes were steady. "But you can," Ruth said, "if you want to." Amara looked at seat 2A, at Trevor, who was standing beside it, his face contorted with rage. She thought about dignity, about justice, about all the seats she had been asked to leave. She stood. Amara walked down the aisle. The cabin was silent except for the hum of the engines. Every passenger watched her. She stopped beside Trevor. Her voice was calm. "I'd like my seat, please." Trevor's hands clenched. "This is harassment." "No," Amara said. "Harassment is being told to move when you've done nothing wrong." I didn't know it was your seat. You didn't ask. You assumed. Trevor's jaw worked. He looked at the captain, at the phone's recording, at the faces watching him. This is insane, he said. But his voice had lost its power. He grabbed his bag. He shoved it under the seat in front of 2B. He threw himself into the aisle seat. Amara sat down in 2A. The leather was warm. The window was clear. It was her seat. The captain nodded at her. I apologize, Dr. Lewis. This should never have happened. You're right, Amara said. It shouldn't have. She paused. The cabin was still watching. The phones were still recording. She thought about staying quiet, about letting the moment pass. But she had already chosen. There was no going back. Since everyone is already watching, Amara said, let me introduce myself properly. The captain's eyes widened. Amara stood again. Her voice was steady, clear. It carried through the cabin. My name is Dr. Amara Lewis. I'm the CEO of MedTech Innovations. We design surgical safety devices. My company is currently in negotiations with this airline to install life-saving equipment in your fleet. She saw Trevor's face go white. I was upgraded to this seat by a gate agent who noticed I had been given a middle seat despite a full-fare ticket. I boarded with a valid pass. I was asked to move by a flight attendant who did not check the system. Elena made a small sound in the galley. Amara looked at her. I'm not telling you this because of my title, Amara said. I'm telling you this because of what it reveals. I am a CEO. I have credentials. I have status. And I was still dismissed. I was still doubted. I was still asked to give up what was rightfully mine. Her voice did not shake. Her hands did not tremble. This matters because of what it says about who is believed, who is moved, who is allowed to belong. She looked at Trevor. He would not meet her eyes. I don't want an apology from you, Mr. Haynes. I want you to think about what assumptions you made, and why. She sat down. The cabin was silent. Then someone started clapping. A man in economy. Then another passenger. Then another. The applause spread through the cabin. Not everyone joined. But enough did. Ruth's voice was soft behind her. Well done. Amara's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back. She had not wanted to be a symbol. But maybe symbols were just people who refused to disappear. The captain returned to the cockpit. The plane began its final descent. Amara looked out the window. The city rushed up to meet them. She felt different, lighter, like she had put down a weight she had been carrying for years. The wheels touched the runway. The plane shook, then settled. They had landed. The plane taxied to the gate. Passengers gathered their bags. The cabin stirred with motion and noise. Amara stayed in her seat. She felt drained, relieved, scared of what came next. Elena approached. Her face was tear-streaked. Her voice was small. Dr. Lewis? Amara looked up. Yes? I'm sorry. Elena's voice broke. I'm so sorry. I made a terrible choice. I didn't verify. I didn't think. I just assumed. Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Thank you for saying that. It's not enough. No, Amara said. But it's a start. Elena wiped her eyes. I told my supervisor I'm willing to make a formal statement about what I did, about why I did it. That could cost you your job. I know. Elena's voice was steady now. But keeping my job isn't worth losing myself. Amara felt something shift in her chest. Respect, maybe even hope. Then I'll make a statement too, Amara said, about what you just did. Elena's breath caught. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Truth goes both ways. The jetway connected. Passengers began to deplane. Trevor was first off, his face dark, his phone already at his ear. Ruth stopped beside Amara's seat. Are you all right? I think so. What you did tonight mattered. I don't know yet what it cost. Ruth smiled. You won't know that for a while, but you'll know what you gained. What's that? Yourself. Ruth squeezed Amara's shoulder and walked off the plane. Amara sat alone for a moment longer. Her phone buzzed. Texts were pouring in. Colleague asking if she was okay. Her assistant sending a link. She opened it. The video was already online. Shaky footage from someone's phone. Her standing in the aisle. Her introducing herself. Her words about who is believed. The view count was climbing. Fast. Amara closed her phone. She stood. She walked off the plane. Jamal was waiting at the gate. His eyes were worried. Dr. Lewis, I'm so sorry. I should have done more. You did everything right, Amara said. You documented the truth. That's what mattered. I got suspended. Amara's jaw tightened. Then I'll be speaking to your management, and mine. Jamal's eyes widened. You don't have to. Yes, I do. She walked through the terminal. People stared. Some recognized her from the video that was already spreading. Amara kept walking, one foot in front of the other. She had told the truth. She had claimed her seat. She had refused to disappear. Tomorrow there would be consequences, conversations, decisions. Tonight, she had her dignity. That was enough. 3 days later, Amara sat in her office. The video had gone viral. Millions of views, thousands of comments. Some called her brave. Some called her divisive. Some said she should have just taken the other seat. She had stopped reading after the first 100. Her assistant knocked. You have a call from the airline's CEO. Amara picked up the phone. Dr. Lewis, this is Richard Chen. I want to personally apologize for what happened on Flight 447. Thank you. We've launched an internal investigation. Elena Rossi will not face termination. She's been reassigned to training development. Jamal Brooks has been reinstated with a promotion. Amara felt relief. Good. We're also implementing new protocols, mandatory bias training, system checks before any passenger is asked to move, and we'd still very much like to continue our partnership discussions. I'll consider it. I understand if you need time. I do. She hung up. Her phone buzzed. Another message. This one was from Ruth. I wrote to my grandchildren about you. I told them what courage looks like. Amara smiled. Her eyes burned. Her assistant appeared again. There's a woman here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment. Who is she? She says she saw the video. She wants to thank you. Amara hesitated, then nodded. Send her in. A middle-aged black woman entered. Her eyes were bright, her hands twisted together. Dr. Lewis, I'm sorry to bother you. It's okay. I just wanted to say thank you for what you did on that plane. I didn't do anything special. Yes, you did. The woman's voice cracked. Last week, I was asked to move. My seat on a train. A white woman said it was hers. It wasn't. But I moved anyway. I didn't want to make a scene. Amara felt her chest tighten. When I saw your video, I cried, the woman said. Because you didn't move. Because you stood up. Because you made me realize I deserve my seat too. Amara stood. She walked around the desk. She took the woman's hands. You do, she said. You absolutely do. The woman hugged her. Amara held on tight. When the woman left, Amara sat at her desk. She looked out the window at the city below. She thought about Trevor, about Elena, about Ruth, about Jamal. She thought about all the people who would see that video and feel less alone. She thought about all the seats that needed to be claimed, the spaces that needed to be held. The work was not done. It was never done. But tonight, someone had seen her stand, and had found the courage to stand too. That was enough. Amara picked up her phone. She opened her calendar. She scheduled the next meeting with the airline. She would hold them accountable. She would negotiate from strength. She would make sure the devices got installed. And she would remember seat 2A. The seat she almost gave up. The seat she finally claimed. Her seat. Epilogue. 6 months later, Amara stood at a conference podium. The room was packed with airline executives, safety engineers, and journalists. Today marks the installation of MedTech's emergency response systems in the first 100 aircraft, she said. These devices will save lives. They already have. The audience applauded. Cameras flashed. After the presentation, a young woman approached. A flight attendant. Her name tag said Elena. Dr. Lewis? Amara turned. Elena, how are you? I'm good, really good. I'm leading the new bias training program. I heard. Congratulations. Elena's eyes were bright. I wanted to thank you for not ending my career, for giving me a chance to make it right. You gave yourself that chance. I just didn't stand in your way. Still, thank you. Elena walked away. Amara watched her go. She thought about that night on the plane, the fear, the anger, the choice to speak. She thought about Ruth's voice calling for courage, Jamal's fingers saving the truth, Elena's tears as she chose integrity. She thought about Trevor. She wondered if he remembered, if he had learned. Probably not. Some people never did. But some people did. And that made the difference. Amara walked to the hotel. The streets were crowded. No one recognized her. She was just another woman in a blazer and heels. She liked it that way. At the airport the next day, she checked in. First class. The agent smiled. Seat 2A, Dr. Lewis. Enjoy your flight. Amara took the boarding pass. She did not fold it. She boarded early. She found her seat. She sat down by the window. No one questioned her. No one asked her to move. She looked out at the runway. The sky was clear. Amara felt at peace. She had finally learned she was enough.